Hello everybody! So this time I would want to make a commentary on a C# expert which comments on Java. So his point of the clip is that some people know outdated things about C# and it looks to me that he knows outdated things about Java, which he said he didn't comment, but he just did. And let's see what he has to say.
Let's see what Java is adding from Java 8 to Java 17. So if we go to the features and we go to like pattern matching for switch, this is a lift and shift 1-for-1. Actually, it's a bit clunkier because it has a case here. C# doesn't have it, but it's very much exactly how you do pattern matching for switch in C#, added a few versions ago. And this is still in preview in Java.
So this is partially correct, and the point is, and it is publicly documented, is that the Java does it in small steps. So the reason why you don't see all the pattern matching and why you will see, for example, the switch case null, for example, it's because the compiler has to prove all the cases, and because this big feature, I think is named Project Amber, simply is not also one-to-one implementation. One also important item is that the clunkier has its name, this arrow. It's because you don't have a break, but you can put a break. Also, he missed, can you see here, switch expressions, which there is no C# equivalent for it. So let's understand how the feature works. So if you want to make a program and you get a value here which you can switch on it, you can say that the switch value is like question mark or ternary operator, but here you can make as many values as you want, and the compiler, if you put a nullable value, will check it. Otherwise you'll have to also handle the either with default or case null all the other cases. So in this program, for example, we will if you run it, it will print the color.
Have the sealed classes, which you don't allow anyone to inherit from that class. C# had it since forever.
Here he is plainly wrong. So can you see first of all the syntax? Sealed class permits. Do you have this in C# for forever? What he means, and I'm sure that what he means, is that if you use in C# sealed keyword. So first of all, let's clarify that switch expressions do not work with case. You can see a lot of errors. Also Java 8, which is not displayed there, it supports var. But what you can do in Java, in C#, you can say abstract class base, and here you'll put sealed class. My implementation is base, and what it will do is that on top of this class you can't inherit from it on top, so you can't write as top imp my class. It is a compilation error, but if you remove sealed, it will work. So in C#, and here he is wrong, this one it's a copied from Java, which was from forever, and this is named final class. So you can create again the abstract class base, and here you can put instead of sealed, the syntax is named final class imp class, sorry for typos, extends base. And you can see that you can't, let's try to do it, class my imp extends imp, and you see compilation error. So if you remove the final again, it would work. So this was for forever in Java, I think from 1.0. So he's plain wrong.
It's been in preview for 2 versions and GA now. Record time.
Okay, so but why would you want a sealed class? So the sealed class, what it does, it says that you would want one operation, for example. So you'll have one operation, and let's say you support just addition and subtraction. So the issue is that you want to model things. and you want to make sure that no one but your defined implementers would implement your stuff. And the reason could be multiple. Like, for example, you don't want to miss one case when someone else puts a final here, whatever, and it will implement your operation. So you can see that the abstract class, if you put here final, you can't implement the base, but technically you can implement here the base. And here, let's say you can copy paste all the code of impl. I'm not saying you should copy paste. So with sealed classes, you can say only these classes could implement it, and themselves every class could be also extended again with a kind of with a sealed one, or the compiler will look all the sub-tree of the classes are implemented.
I did that a version ago, like pattern matching for instance of, to say if is instance of a string, C# says X is string. All these features that effectively, yeah, switch expressions, same thing. C# had it for a while.
Again, C# doesn't have it at all. And okay, let's move further.
And actually, implementations look one for one. So at this point, making arguments about language design doesn't make sense. And then, the other one is C# better than Java in 2019. And the first one, 3.7 thousand views. And the commenter says Java is both language and runtime, and environment is better. No, Java isn't a runtime. The JVM is the runtime.
Here he is plainly wrong. So what this commenter would say, and he comments, is that most people, when they say this application is Java, or it runs like on Java, people, they don't make this any distinction between the language and the runtime, and he is plainly correct.
Java is the language, and many things can compile to bytecode, which is what the JVM will run, similar to Groovy or Kotlin or whatever. Anyway, and there is no second-class citizen version of Java on different platforms as it happens in .NET. I'm assuming they're referring to Mono?
No, he can read a bit above the comment. So you can see from Windows 7 to IBM ZOS. So let's look Java, IBM ZOS. So let's see. Can you have a fully supported Java SDK to download? Probably it works as excellently as the, you see, 64-bit and so on. Let's look for ZOS.NET Core. Look, there is a bug to support it, and it's open, and it does not support. So it's a second-class citizen, and this is a very recent bug, and it's in a future. So even in this comment, it's actual. And it says also it isn't going to break code. .NET Core, and I know because I'm working with it, and I will show just one say, VCF removed from .NET Core. So this is one part which I know my company has to re-implement the VCF code. And Java supposedly, at least in this comment, says that isn't going to break your code. Technically it still breaks it, but not so drastically.
This is 2019. By that time we had .NET 3.1, I think, and that was like fully cross-platform. You can run it anywhere, and in fact, it might even perform faster in Linux. So
he is also wrong, because in 3.1, one of the distinguishing features of it was that it would include the WPF and Windows Forms. And this is a second-class citizen that your code, Windows Forms or WPF, would not work on other but Windows.
Don't know what they're on about. And then Java's compilation and optimization happens at runtime, not before, as with .NET and C#. No, Java, similar to .NET, will compile to bytecode or intermediate language code for .NET and that will be the first stage of compilation. And then there's a JIT compiler that happens in runtime for both the JVM and the CLR.
Here he is correct.
Our own version of the VM, which will also optimize that even further. So the argument programmer for 40 years isn't really strong. Please don't leave comments like this if you are not proficient in both languages. And there's other comments as well saying that .NET is not cross-platform or C# is not cross-platform. That's not true. The ASP.NET Core framework, as you can see, fully cross-platform here. Anything you want can be found here. Same with the runtime. You can find it here. It's fully cross-platform. And in fact, if you want to very easily and quickly search for some source code, you just go at source.net. That's a stupid name.
He is correct here. And if he saw this comment, this will be the truth on his side.
Anyway, and you can search, like, let's say, password hasher to see how .NET is doing password hashing by default. And you can see all the code here. It's all open source. You can go to the file as well. If you just click on that, it takes you to, like, it's so great. Now, for those of you who don't know, in Stack Overflow's 2021 survey, ASP.NET Core came second as the most loved framework, a little bit under Svelte, and Svelte had only 1,000 responders. So really, it was very high, higher than React, higher than Express, higher than Spring. So clearly people like this. And what I want to do is I want to go to the tech-empowered benchmarks, which are public benchmarks, third party. It's not
So let's go
by
ourselves
Microsoft.
to
They
the
benchmark
same
a
study.
bunch of
So he got to Tech Empowered round 20.
different tech, from Rust to C++ to Java to C# to everything. And we can see the plain text web server responses and how many requests per second this thing can do. And as you can see, we have 7 million here. It's the second most performing under Pico-V. I don't know anyone using Pico-V or the V language.
Right, so you can see Wizardo is basically the same numbers. You can distinguish that few hundred. So this is really a glitch if there is a difference. So this is Java, okay? So they're functional equivalent.
So that's a micro framework, ignore it. As you can see, it performs faster than anything else, faster than Java, C++, Rust, anything. Of course, this is
No, it's equal. It's really a glitch. If you run it once again, you'll see this 500, it's really a glitch.
just plain text, so it's just effectively testing the web server. But if you go to other examples, like let's say
Also, this test, so let's go, for example, to this one where you see ESP core. Don't you forget that, for example, you have things like latency and so on, and it's not always the .NET the fastest. So, for example, if you care about latency, so he kind of, at least here, cherry pick these numbers, but let's see further.
JSON serialization, and you search for ASP core, it's still pretty high, because if you
So let's go to JSON serialization. So ESP core, and let's see it here. Okay, it's 70% of the maximum, and let's see what is Java. Wow, 96%. And let's continue with the clip.
search for something like Node.js, that's 45,000 requests per second, while ASP core, if we go all the way up, it's 160 almost. And then
Okay, so he also said Node.js, okay? But why would you pick Node.js when there is here just JS, which is JavaScript? And again, I'm not a fan, it beats even Java. So this is a embedded, just V8 runtime. Okay, so let's continue.
And if you go to the single query test as well, you can see that ASP core is still very, very high. And if we
So let's go to single query test and look ESP core, and this is 47%. And let's look again what is Java. Again, just JS, it's amazingly fast, 80%. But let's see what is Java, 76%. So this result, which was basically equal with ESP.NET Core.
To compare that with something like Spring with web flags, that's 18,000 requests per second. And if we go with raw Spring, that's 14. It's
why would you choose Spring? So I would assume if it will go, I don't know if there is here web forms. There is no web forms, there is mono. So mono, for example, with the same ESP.core, it's really also pathetic. But you will not use Spring if you really need the fastest runtime or something like that. You'll use, especially when it's so critical for you. So to me, he also clearly cherry picked, and he either doesn't understand how Java is evaluated, or he selectively chose the numbers which he liked.
very performant, very efficient, very fast. This isn't to say that you should use C# and .NET. This is to say that's how things are in 2021. Please
They're not, as you see, you just have seen.
update your opinion about the language. You don't have to use it, but at least when it comes time to talk about it, understand what the state of the language and the frameworks are. Well, that's all I have for you for this video. Thank you.
This is all I have too, and I hope you liked it. And this is certainly the reason why I put this like. But in general, this guy, he's awesome, especially if you want to learn C#. I'm a C# developer by trade, but here when he was opinionated, he got things wrong, and I have to make this clear for. Thank you, and see you next time. Bye bye.